Good. Cursor's
I can talk like this, right? Is this fine?
Do you
If
want
I
to do a
talk-
sound check before we begin for good?
Everything's fine.
Everything's
Is
fine.
this fine?
Everything's
Can I talk
fine. I
more?
guess we just begin. Okay. Welcome to Fear of Stars, Desi Films Welcome to Fear of Stars, Desi Films Decoded, the podcast where four friends from different backgrounds unlock the world of Desi cinema. I'm Winnie, the Desi who, unfortunately, has never been to India.
Yeah, hi. I'm Shorav. I'm the film enthusiast from India.
This is Nikki, newfound Bollywood enthusiast.
I'm Adam, the Western film buff, and this week I learned that if you become a high-end prostitute, life is pretty good. And Indian pimps are really nice to you, and they really want you to do well in school, and, you know, it seems like a nice career path.
And today we're doing an episode on Dev.D, a 2009 film by one Anurag Kashyap. And as a Thai person, I had no idea coming into this movie that this was an adaptation on a very popular classic Bengali novel called Devdas.
Yeah.
So Keely, can you tell us about what Devdas is in general?
Yeah, so it's not only a very popular Bengali novel, has been adapted to on screen so many times in Bollywood, in Bengali film industry, and everywhere. This film is focusing on this guy called Devdas who had a childhood semi-romance relation with this girl called Parvati in the novel. He comes back when the girl comes of age, according to that time standard, which was 13, and then her parents want to marry her off. The girl actually wants to marry Devdas, but being from a little lower caste than Devdas, who was like a landlord Brahmin family, and the parents of Devdas was not agreeing to this alliance, and kinda humiliated Paru's family. And when Paru goes to confront Devdas that no, I want to marry you, please convince your parents. And then Devdas kinda being just a 19-year-old kid, he's just whatever, nah. And then she just gets married to someone else who was a older guy in his 40. And that time Dev after a bit actually realizes what happens, that his childhood sweetheart is now someone else's wife, and he goes totally berserk. He start drinking, he destroys himself, and at this point another girl comes to his life who is a sex worker from where in the city where he was living. In the story, the city is Kolkata. So he was living in Kolkata, and then he meets this prostitute called Chandu or whatever, and they have a certain relationship where Chandramukhi really falls for Devdas, and the naivety of the guy, and Devdas being a very heartbroken, honest person. She doesn't see many similar client who are that kind of a person, so she really falls for that guy, and she takes care of him and everything. Devdas at first doesn't like her. He has this holier than thou behavior towards Chandramukhi being a prostitute, and he belittles her a bit at the beginning, but gradually he realizes that he likes her and she also likes him. But at that point Dave suffers physically a lot for his heavy drinking, and eventually he dies. So Devdas is a very became very popular and as a novel, and also it's very filmy. The story was very filmy, so it had been adapted on screen so many times. So when this film comes on theater, it's assumes that the audience already know the Devdas story already.
Right.
Why did you choose this for us? I always want to ask, like, why, as the curator, this is the second film.
Oh,
we're
yeah,
doing.
yeah. So, this director is, like, for me, he's one of the best directors from Bollywood. And when he started, I mean, he always remained an indie filmmaker, not a big production filmmaker. He made one big production film that was not that good. So he remained an indie filmmaker forever, like a big indie director.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm glad they
option.
updated the
Yeah.
ages, because I think Paro at 14 is way too old.
So with this particular adaptation, right? One thing that we should know is that this novel was written in 1917 by Sarat Chandra Chattopadhyay.
Oh my god. you
Okay,
get-
just
you
first of
get
all, guys, if anyone
A
gives us
plus
feedback
plus.
on how we pronounce the names, we're sorry. Please don't give us flack for that. Like, Killy's the only one that can pronounce this correctly. Please don't get mad. Like, we're sorry. We're just going to preemptively apologize every episode, but we're going to screw up the names, and we're very sorry.
And yeah, it's a modern day take. And then I think part of the fun that I would say watching this movie is that, you know, try to see what's different and how they adapt it into, like, you know, say if it were
Yeah.
in the modern context.
I don't think you need to read I mean, because I wasn't familiar with the story. You weren't either when you
No,
weren't
I
either.
wasn't.
Winnie, were you familiar with the story?
I was familiar with it because I watched the Shah Rukh Khan adaptation. I think that was in early 2002. But I actually thought Devdas was like a term that you'd find in the Oxford Dictionary. I thought it had a meaning behind it, and they just used it as a name for the film. It was just after watching Dev.D that I realized
It's
that the
not
name
real.
Devdas actually just came from a novel. So it's really just a person's name. Because we grew up calling, you know, like certain boys who maybe were like party goers and flirty Devdas. So I thought that was a literal definition of the term. I didn't know it was associated with a name that came out of a novel and had been adapted to film multiple times.
So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
But Killy did go, like, very close to the guidelines we gave him, because there are no dance numbers in this movie.
no,
There definitely
are.
are dance numbers, and it was
There
quite.
are.
I think this movie is well known for having such a great soundtrack, which you brought
Yeah,
up
I
multiple
love those
times,
There's
Lily.
songs. There's not dance numbers.
I didn't actually
Nobody
think
dances.
I didn't think about
They were dancing to the
No, they're
dance
not.
number in
Yeah,
the
remember,
very
remember when he's in a bar at one point and you see like close-ups of people going on the mic?
Guys,
It looked
it's not a
very.
dance number.
And there was like Elvis, Indian Elvis, that showed up
What?
at one point.
Okay, yeah. So there's a Greek choir that dances. Like it's analogous to a Greek choir. That's it. There's 3 dudes that dance like the robot. Nobody in the film dances. Like, so there's no costume changes. There's no big musical
Right.
numbers. I'm just gonna say, like, this does hit the outlines of the one guideline we gave, which was dance numbers.
Well, I think this movie is kind of rooted in realism. It wants to show raw experiences, and that translates to the music numbers, right? A lot of it is just very realistic.
That's fine. It's just as the guidelines we gave to Killy of I want music.
Yeah.
Well, it barely fulfilled it.
The music from this film was like cherished for so long. It's still like really popular.
Yeah.
And the music director, I think I can't say for now because I didn't research it. I don't remember exactly whether it was his, but it was his one of the first works that he was doing, Amit Trivedi. So yeah, it was really good. Like the
Good for
musics
him.
are.
Nikki,
so
how does the
edgy.
movie start?
So straight off the bat, we realized that the movie is split into 3 parts. It's told in the perspective of 3 of its main characters. We start with I think it was like a childhood flashback scene,
Yeah.
and it shows like Dev,
dynamics
our main
between
character.
the-
He's like a kid, right? And I think what I remember was that like he was very rude. He's very like
He calls his dad by his first name.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah,
our
that's
first
unacceptable.
introduction. Is he calls his dad by his first name? Have you guys ever done that?
That's unacceptable in Desi culture, honestly. That's like I think I mentioned this while watching the film, but I don't even know my grandparents' names till today because we don't refer to them by their names at all. You know,
Yeah,
that's like the
actually
biggest
don't-
sign of disrespect, honestly.
yeah.
But I think that's rather
Yeah,
common
like,
in America.
Calling someone's father by his name, Sattu here, that is like totally unacceptable. And
Yeah.
that was the first character development for Dev that the filmmaker showed us. I think that this guy is just like get on your nerve.
It's not just like Indian culture. Like in American culture, like you're a real prick if you call your parents by their first name.
My roommates in college called their parents by their first names. They were like on a first name
But
basis. They were
I've
best
seen
friends.
in,
Yeah.
like American media that
But as a kid, like I can never imagine using like first name basis. And I'm like, like I'm not like I have a super strict parent or they're not very conservative or anything. But I mean, even my phone, it's like mom and dad. I can't do that.
But I guess the difference in the cultures is that your dad probably wouldn't have sent you to boarding school in London had you called him by his first name. And over
That's
here,
true.
that's exactly what happened.
I did not get beaten ever. It was just the fear of God, not physical punishment that made me say dad.
It brings to the
So,
table.
so one thing that's established is that Paro is this woman that is completely devoted to him. She's like so in love with him. But then we see this Dev guy. He's kind of a douchebag. He sleeps around. He's taking advantage of her. That's when we know that something's off with this romance, this relationship.
One thing I do like is they don't portray that as romantic.
No.
I think in another movie that might be seen as romantic,
Right.
like the just incredible devotion to an asshole. And I'm glad that they show Dev as like being a prick and taking advantage of her and asking for nudes and just like trying to like sexually advance with her, knowing like what she'll do, and he doesn't care about her, obviously. Clearly takes her for granted, but like I think in another movie with maybe a different director it'd be seen as like romantic. I'm glad it's not.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to say about like the Paro's chapter here, I mean they actually did that's one of the diversion from the typical Bollywood culture, and they kind of did that homage to the typical Bollywood. So there was this film called Pardes where like a Desi girl from a village. It's a complete fetishization of Indian Desi village girl from a Indian like foreign country, like Indian who lives in a foreign country, their point of view. So that has the scene of like that we see here. She's running through the field and the airplane is coming. Oh, by the way, that airplane shot like which looks like a dick. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that actually.
Okay.
The airplane, Sheila has like an orgasmic face and it crossfades into a big phallic airplane landing.
Yeah.
Because Dev is arriving. Like, she's very happy.
Yeah. So anyway, so that scene is kind of a homage to like that kind of scene, like which he's running around the field with her dupatta and stuff, like very playfully, and then there's a very innocent village girl look. But when we actually get to know Paro, we really know that she's not like the typical innocent Desi girl the Bollywood portrays. She has flings with guys in the village. She has.
Does she though? Because
No,
I
she-
feel like that was never proven in the
That
end,
was
whether
never
that guy
proven, but
actually
it's
was
like
talking.
She was like, yeah, that guy lied, but there was certain hints that maybe she didn't sleep with him. Maybe she just made out, because there was a hint that she goes to say like, if I would have thought, I would have never done, and then she stops. So it's like.
Yeah.
But she does
there's a
tell
kind
Dev
of a
over
hint
chat,
that
right?
She's not that. Huh?
She does tell Dev over the chat that she would never let any other man touch her
Yeah, I
until
think that
he
was
does.
a lie. For my reading of the film, I think that's a lie. She's telling Dev to keep her image to Dev.
She's a sexual being in
Yeah.
Indian culture, I felt like. So like they gave her sexual agency, which was super nice. Like she's
Yeah.
clearly, I don't think she's a virgin, or at least she's experimented. When they go out to the field, which
Yeah.
we'll get to in a second, but she brings out the mattress, and I like that agency that she had, where like she brings the mattress to the field. Like she has a purpose of like, I
Yeah.
want to hook up with this guy. It's very clear her feelings for her, and that's cool. Like she has sexual agency. Like she's not she's not an innocent child. Like she knows what she wants.
And
Yeah.
the way she arranged the mattress and told lies, and she know where to put it, that kind of shows that she knows stuff. Like it's not like
It's not her
she's
first
just-
rodeo with
yeah.
the mattress in the field. Classic trick. Which, by the way, Killy, did you ever hook up in a field?
No.
Where was the weirdest place you hooked up with when you were like young and you were living with your parents?
You're right, because you mentioned that all of India is a cock block.
No sex though.
You said, I think Winnie, you said all India is a cock block.
No, Keely said that because obviously Paro and Dev were struggling to have sex when that's
Yeah,
all
the
they
whole
wanted to
India is a
do.
cock block.
So Keely said those exact words.
the
so
whole India
so
is a
please
cock
tell
block.
us how you navigated all of that cock
Yeah.
block that
Because
surrounded
the
you.
problem is like you have to find this place. Like, I mean, first of all, I mean, you live with your parents when you come off. You're a teenager. You're still with your parents, and getting a empty room was a difficulty. in any of the girls I dated, and also in my house. So you have to figure out a way to get an empty room and empty house.
Where?
Was it the fields?
For me, it was my friend who was from somewhere else, and he had an apartment in the city.
It's an
I
apartment
just
with
picked-
fields.
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
There's
From
wheat in
him.
the apartment with a mattress.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't ask your friends with benefits the way Paro did, though.
So yeah, that was crazy.
In
That was
America,
crazy.
like we solve that with car culture, right? Like you hook up in cars
Yeah.
and stuff. And we don't like in America, like it's hotels are too expensive. But like I know in Asia, there's love motels. You pay hourly and stuff. America doesn't have that too much, so it's mostly cars.
Yeah, so now it changed. Like when we were already like when I was older, like I mean maybe last decade, India saw the bloom of love motels like Oyo.
Wait, actually,
Oyo
I think a
became
fun
synonymous
fact.
with like hookup.
Yeah, but a fun fact about India is that you can't actually book a hotel with another guy or your partner unless you're married, and they actually check these things.
Yeah, most
So
of the
all hotels are
yeah.
off limits unless it has its Oyo branding.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I said when I met Killy, because you're from Calcutta, and I said when I went there, like I went to go to the museum. I don't remember the name. It was like the big Victorian.
Victoria Monument.
Yeah, the Victorian Monument, right? And it's a big park, right?
Yeah.
And I went in there to just go see the museum, and there's this huge park with trees, and I look around, and everyone is like a couple hiding behind a tree being super handsy. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, it was super PDA. Like, everyone's hooking up at this park and in daylight. And I'm like, I've never seen this in India. Like, I've never seen anyone, like, hold hands or kiss. And, like, in a park, I'm just, like, looking, and everyone's just behind a tree trunk making out. I was like, this is wild. And I asked Killy about it. I'm like, is this, like, a normal thing? And he said, like, yeah, that's, like,
These are
hookup
love
park.
spots. Yeah, these are love spots. They are love spots that the students, like the young people, just go make out. Yeah.
I wish we could have that in Thailand.
Yeah.
Where do you hook up in
You
Thailand?
have like okay, yeah. What?
Homes, back in condos. We just don't do it out in public. I don't know. It's
But,
just-
like, what, your parents aren't home?
yeah, when the parents aren't home. I know that.
Yeah,
That's
a lot
the
of people,
time
like,
to get funky, right?
It
when
depends
you're-
also, like, yeah, if like I'm from a joint family, so like my home was, first of all, my home was not in the city where I was living. It was in the outside of the city. Like, I cannot take anyone there. But even if I could, it was like it's this joint family. It's like someone or other is there.
Winnie?
It was
Growing
a-
up in Thailand?
It was a rooftop of a building, which if anyone had a telescope or anything of that sort, we'd be in trouble.
So, like a condo building
Yeah, like the rooftop of
Yeah.
a big condo building.
with the hot Thai sun beating down. Was there a
But-
mattress involved?
Nope, it was literally just a stool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie theaters.
All right,
is
let's
a-
get-
movie
let's
theaters. is
Movie
a-
theater was the
Oh.
Movie theaters.
the
Okay.
old single screen,
So-
the big theater.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a cinema in Thailand called Happy Cinema, and it was pretty much a bed. There would be pillows, they'd give you a
Whoa.
blanket, and I'm pretty sure it was mostly high school students that booked out that cinema.
That is so smart.
Nikki, did you
I
ever?
want to open karaoke club.
That was my idea.
Oh.
There's too many
No,
already.
I told you this idea.
Oh yeah, right.
So I was like, I want to open karaoke bars in India for college hookups and high school
Yeah.
hookups. I think that would do so well.
That should be the best thing.
Like, you rent it by
it's
the
hourly
hour.
basis. You play music if you want. No, that's the main thing. Yeah, but anyway, like it's usually sound block, right?
Yeah, if you guys never, if I'm not on this podcast anymore, it's because my karaoke empire in India took off. I don't need this shit
Look, I
anymore.
think if we learned anything from these movies, we can just buy a piece of land. Indian people know what they're doing. They'll bring their own mattresses. They'll find empty spots in the fields, and
farm
they'll get down
some-
to business. Yeah,
farm
you
some
don't need that much
sugarcane.
that much
Put
infrastructure.
some sugar cane.
Last thing before we continue, because just this is something I thought about too. So Paro was like in the field looking at the plane come, and I remember too. I don't remember where I was in India, but it was a super kind of remote place, and I remember like we were just driving in like a bus or something going somewhere, but it was near like a small airport, and a plane was taking off, and all the cars were just stopped along the road to like watch the plane take off because it was like a cool event that happens sometimes. So like people were like holding up their kids to watch, and people are sitting on cars and stuff, and everyone's like looking at the planes go by. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, of like, it is pretty special.
Those people are not from that area. I mean, they are coming from somewhere else, and they were like, oh,
magic plane.
Well, let's get back to the plot
right,
because we fast forward to the fields pretty quickly.
All right, so the main problem between Dev and Paro. Okay, Dev is very, because he's so rude and everything. His parents sent him abroad. He was studying in the UK, I think, and then he came back to meet Paro. They rekindled their romance, and as we said, they do not have a place to get busy. They do not have a place to get jiggy with it. They cannot. Everyone's always interrupting them. And they took it to the sugarcane fields where they're about to have sex. But then before that, I think there was a scene like, I think they were at Dev's brother's wedding. Yeah. As brother's wedding, and that's when Dev finds out from another man. I don't remember his name. I think it was a man that told him that, hey, Paro has been. She's a wild one, right? She's been sleeping around. And I think at that moment, I actually didn't know, because I don't know the context of the story, right? I thought that there was something about Paro we didn't know, that maybe she actually was sleeping around or something. But then I think it's just, this guy, I think he was just trying to ruin her reputation or something.
They did do stuff together.
That was never confirmed. That was never confirmed.
He did. Tilly said, like,
she was like, there was a point like where she was saying that otherwise I would have. So he's like, oh, you are behaving like this. If I knew that you would behave like this, I would have never. Then she stops. When he was like, why are you going to my place to hook up with Dev? Because he knows that Paro is in love with Dev. So, and he's like, I love you, that I love you. She's like, shut up, you know that I am in love, like, I like Dev. Dev is here, I will be with him. So, if I knew that you would behave like this, I would have never, and then she stops saying that. So, the film makes a point that it doesn't matter who she slept with. It doesn't matter because she loves Dev. Dev loves her, but Dev isn't like a weird asshole who just slept with another girl who came to the
he was sleeping with someone else.
Just before Paro, but he behaves like so like holier than thou in front of Paro, and Paro brings up that point like when you do it, it's okay, and when I do it, it's wrong.
Paro calls him out.
It doesn't matter whether I did it or not, but the fact that you find it's an objectionable thing and you are like making this whole scene, that makes you douchebag. Like, it doesn't matter whether I did it or not. So she is very, very clear about that, and that's where like she wins our heart. Like go girl.
So that being said, like, that man told Dev that she was sleeping around, and Dev cannot handle that revelation.
Who can? Like, could you imagine your current girlfriend sleeping with anyone else?
Well, they were never really in a relationship.
But I feel like, if they weren't in a relationship by then, it would have been, I think it would have been fine, right? I don't know. I wouldn't have a problem, if they had a history with somebody. But I guess, the point, like Keely said,
that's the point.
The point is, like, it doesn't matter.
Like a very traditional head.
We're not committed to a relationship or anything.
Also, he's been doing the same thing,
Exactly. So they're in the sugarcane fields. They're about to get busy. They're about to do the bao chicka wow wow. And then he could not accept the fact that, she was sleeping around. And I think he proceeded to like berate her for it, and like even while we're watching this, we know that he's also sleeping around.
Wait, I don't think we should glaze over the fact that he actually slaps her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like physically hits her.
Yeah, he did. He actually hits her.
He's very clearly not a good guy.
Yeah. No, he's an asshole. I knew from the beginning, like, okay, this guy, I don't like this guy. Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
The minute he calls his dad his first name, I'm like, I hate this guy.
I hate him. Fucking hate him. So yeah, I think he confronted her, but while that was happening, right, I think she was at home with her Paro was at home with her family, and then they were like, so Paro is really attractive. She's getting a lot of attraction from all these suitors and everything, and I think that her parents were trying to set her up with other people, with other men.
One guy
and
who visits
she was like, she was so adamant, like, she does not want to settle down with all these other men. She loves Dev, and we know that Dev is an asshole. And that's when she finds out that Dev doesn't actually love her. She went to confront him, and what did we find? he was sleeping with another woman.
Yeah.
Who also happens to be her suitor's sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here the film takes a little deviation from the original story, where in the original story it's Dev is a teenager, right, and it's his parents who like put down the matrimony alliance that Paro and her family wanted with Dev. But here we are clearly shown that Dev's parents always wanted Paro to be their like daughter-in-law, and they always thought that when they grow up, because they were so fond of each other when they were when they grow up, it will be eventually they marrying each other, because they saw that thing with their conversation, their body language. But here Dave is the guy who fucks it all up. He's like, no, like, what is your aukat? Aukat means like, how do I put
Dowry?
Like
no
social caste?
status, like what's your status? Like your status is nothing in front of
Yeah, she's gonna marry the guy she's arranged with is like a manager,
Yeah,
and he's like, you're always gonna be like with a manager, right?
I think his father was a manager. Manager ki beti, he says, like manager's daughter will be like, that will be your status. Like Dave is like an industrialist son, and he's like, don't fuck with us. Like, yeah, I mean, like, you are nothing. Like, just go off. And then totally destroys her like love for him, and then she get over it. And oh yeah, here that scene that where she, after knowing that, she goes back and wants to beat the shit out of that guy who badmouthed her. I love that scene.
Yeah, so there are a few scenes that show that
Yeah.
Paro also has a bit of a wild side to himself, right? She's pumping
Lot
that
of
well.
rage,
Yeah, a lot of
rage in
anger there.
She has tremendous agency.
Yes.
Like,
she's-
she knows what she wants. She does actions towards the thing she wants. She gets
Yeah.
mad and like reacts towards that. I really do like her character a lot.
Yeah, and she speaks back to her father as well, which I think is a bit rare to portray. When her father's trying to get her married to the suitor, she's just like, no, you can't
Yeah.
tell me what to do, and
And she smokes cigarettes.
she does.
I
Incredible.
think joint. She took puff of from the. They was rolling joints, I think.
Incredible.
Well,
Yeah.
something
They was
that
continuously rolling something. I mean, it could be joint, it could be a rolled tobacco, but given his drug abuse, I think it was joint.
Could be herbal tea. Who are we to judge?
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just cleaning up his detoxing when he's in the village.
So
because
one
he knows.
interesting thing that I wanted to shed light upon is that there's a reason why Paro's parents didn't want her to marry Dev, right?
Oh,
I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
because they're a poor family,
Yeah.
and Dev is like high.
Yeah.
He's very like he's from the wealthy upper
He's from
class.
the industry. He's an industrialist.
Yeah, so
son. Like,
that is a thing, right? Like it's just like we just have to marry
Yeah.
somebody of the same class or
Yeah.
whatever.
So are they from the same caste, but just of different statuses, or they're from completely different
No,
caste systems?
this film doesn't talk about caste.
Okay.
It's
It's not,
in the
but-
it's in the original material. It was both class and caste combination, that they were both low in
Just
that
for
thing.
people listening, what is the difference? Class and caste in this context.
Class is a very economical thing, right? And caste is totally a social thing that has a religious stamp on it. That you are born into a caste, you will always be in caste. Doesn't matter which class you belong to, you'll always be that. You can change your class, you cannot ever change your caste. So it's a I can say it's a race class division that lived for thousands of years and got a religious stamp on it. So it's the rule. So that's caste in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess one thing, okay, just to fast forward things a little bit, like he didn't want to have sex with her, and he confronted her about it, like, you know, you sleep around, and then she denies it, and then we had like a quick little confrontation scene where she goes up to that guy that told Dev that she was a wild one, and she would like fight him off and everything, and then I think we can cut this part, but
Yeah.
it's, well, you know, I guess because of like their disagreements on what is considered okay or not okay, in a rage, Paro decides that, okay, I'll just marry someone my parents chose for me, just in a fit of rage, and Dev just lets that happen, right? And then he just.
And then the day of her wedding.
The day of the wedding, he just goes on
finish a whole like 750 ml vodka bottle in one go and goes to dance.
What an arrogant jerk.
Yeah.
Well, he's keeping the spirits of a Punjabi wedding, and I respect that.
No, I mean, they're drinking. Everyone is drinking and drunk, but he just like bottoms up a 750 ml liquor bottle.
That's called 10 a.m. on a Monday. What are you talking about?
I don't think I could do that.
I want to touch upon the song that was there, the brass version, the Elvis Presley like the dance,
Yes.
the song.
So you mentioned this Indian Elvis is a very famous guy.
Oh, he's a very famous actor. Like, he was not that famous at that point of time, but later, with the same director, he made a huge film, and then after that, people got to know like how talented he was, and he's a amazing actor, and he's a huge actor in Bollywood. Nawazuddin Siddiqui, he was just playing that role of like the singer, like in the brass. So that's a very I mean, have seen the live music in Punjabi in wedding.
Yes,
like
there's a lot of live music,
like the
but
Barat thing, like people dancing and going, all this,
of course, there's always music. We're always bangraying.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so cut to. So, anyways, the wedding. He gets drunk. Cut to.
Yeah, so he gets drunk, he gets wasted, and then suddenly we get to the next segment of the movie, which is not Dev, but
not Paro.
Chandra.
Yeah.
And I think this was the start where it kind of hooks me in with the story. So you get to see this woman or girl, I don't know.
Yeah, she was like
she
a
starts
stopped
as
as
a
a
girl.
schoolgirl,
She's a
which I thought was
schoolgirl.
kind of weird because like she didn't look like a kid at all.
She's in school though.
She was a
She's
school.
school.
She was a school.
She's
Played
a
by this.
teenager.
Do you know this person, Keely? Like she's actually French.
Kalki Kwechin.
Kalki.
Yeah, but
I
she's
think
French,
mixed.
and apparently she's raised in India, I think.
Yeah.
But yes, she has this
She's
white.
awesome as well.
She's married to the director, right? You said.
Yeah, not that point of time. I
Divorced
think
now.
later she was married. She was married to the director.
But
Yeah.
they're divorced.
But she's fully French, and she was just born and raised in India,
Yeah.
if I understand
Oh,
correctly.
she's no Indian heritage.
No, just born
she's
and raised.
just-
Because she looks super white.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's
Okay.
French.
She's French.
All right, cool.
So yeah, this is Chandra. But then right from the bat, we know that she's called Lenny. That's her real name.
Yeah.
And we're gonna find out soon enough why she changed her name to Chandra. But basically, Lenny, you can see that Lenny is like this. I think she's from a wealthy family. I think she's born from a mixed race. Like her father's Indian and her mother's white. And right off the bat, we saw that she has an older boyfriend. And we get to this quick scene where they're like hanging out, and then suddenly they end up in a room. And then he's like just filming her in that schoolgirl outfit. I thought I was really uncomfortable with that scene, honestly.
Yeah.
And then we suddenly know that okay, something's off. She's literally asking him, why are you filming me? She goes to school, and then she finds out that he was sharing this. Shall we call it like a sex tape?
Yeah, so
Scandal.
she blew him and he filmed.
MMS Scandal. Actually, it was like based on one of the major school MMS Scandal from New Delhi. It was New Delhi.
So this was based on another scandal.
Yeah, it was Delhi Public School, New Delhi, 2004. Yeah, that happened. So that became really big.
But doesn't that happen all the time?
It happens a lot, but that one became a huge deal.
Why?
It does. It's not that common, to be honest. I think it's also a class issue. It happened to someone rich.
Does that have you ever experienced that in school? Like, do we ever have you guys experienced?
I had seen clips of someone I knew, didn't know personally, but I knew that person exists, and like in some place I used to, like I was there, like in some institute, and I saw her clip once, but it was not that much. But I mean, but it never became a huge widespread thing, I think.
I've had several
but,
incidents in back when I was in high school. There were like many people, a couple of girls got exposed. Their sex tapes got disseminated,
Did it derail their lives as much as it derailed Lenny's life in this film?
I don't know them personally, but they turned out all right in the end, right? But then it was a big deal. These are things that actually do happen.
Wow.
We don't really talk about.
I just read actually it's getting worse. I mean, like, it's already pretty bad when everyone has a camera. Because when I grew up in high school, honestly, you just didn't have a camera, so we just couldn't film. Like, you didn't have iPhones. Didn't come out till my first year of college when I was a freshman.
Right.
We just didn't have that. But I read now that, like, in high school, 1 in 10 kids in high school have had, like, AI photos of them in sexual positions and stuff. So they don't even have to do it anymore. Like, the kids are just sharing, like, AI stuff of their classmates, and that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal. I feel quite bad for them.
Yeah. So, anyone who goes through that would fuck them up pretty badly. So, yeah, this was happening to Lenny, our character here. She, obviously that shamed her whole family. She had to fly to another country, and then, she was just getting blamed for, sleeping around with this older man. And then we had, like, a real kicker, like a punch to the stomach scene where she's just, her father saw the video, and in a moment of disgust, I guess he was, like, ashamed that he saw it, he just kills himself.
Yeah, so, I mean, like,
he just shoots himself in the face.
from a Freudian perspective, if you're, like, a teenage girl, like, the straight line from, like, I sucked a man's dick and now my father's dead, like, is a pretty traumatic event, but, like, also, I think a pretty good metaphor for what happens, right? Like, your father dies as you become an adult, but it's pretty fucked that, like, she just does this thing, and now, like, because of that small act of becoming an adult, she realizes, her father's a sexual being, and then her father, like, dies as a result, and now she's fully into adulthood.
I would rephrase sexual being to sexual predator, because I don't think it's normal for any father to watch your daughter's sex tape. And,
yeah, but
and she
just
accuses him as well. She's like, "Oh, did you get off of it, you sick jerk?"
Yeah.
Right? And that whole scene is very disturbing. And what's more disturbing is the fact that people end up blaming her for his death, right? So there's a scene where she's sitting with her grandma, and her grandma's like, "Are you gonna kill me the same way you killed your father?" Right? And so she's pretty much shunned
She's
from
like,
her
I'm not going
entire
to scissor
society.
my classmate, Grandma, and you're not going to watch my scissoring video and kill yourself.
And the saddest part was, like, that scene where she makes a phone call to her mom to maybe try to, like, work things out, ask her mom to get her out of the situation, and her mom's just listening and ignores the whole thing. So you can tell that everybody blames him for her. Blames her for his death,
the mom
right?
hates her whole family hates her,
Right.
her dad killed her himself, she's in a bad spot.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's like the dad's curiosity for his daughter's sex. I mean, he wanted to see what was there.
Still wrong.
I think,
Right.
Yeah, that's totally wrong. So
And then
that's
he
why he kills himself.
He goes on to say, well, she obviously knew what she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that statement. Yeah.
Yeah. The subtitles were correct, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And the subtitles
That was
is
a
a
joke.
whole nother
That-
I
topic.
mean, it'd be better if he's like, you didn't know at all what you were doing. Like, you're an amateur. Like, do better.
Okay, so
I think I on in her father's defense, I think, like, he was not defense. Okay, yeah. I mean, I think
hang on.
I think like he is just meaning that whether she was assaulted or it was whether it was an assault or like, I think that's
No,
what he
was
wanted
a
to
slut
mean.
comment. Like, you've done this a lot.
I don't think he would
okay.
have shot himself had he not felt guilty
Okay.
for what he did.
Yeah.
So it was obviously out of wrong reasons why
They're
he
both
watched
realizing, he's realizing his daughter's a sexual being, and he can't handle it, and then she has to deal with the aftermath of that.
Yeah, she dealt with the aftermath. She did, because
Yeah.
she was just shamed, and I think she was living with her father's side of her family, and, like, they were just shaming her. They were threatening to kill her, like, strip her naked, burn her in the fields, and she just, like, she needs to get out of there. And I think she was just traveling alone. She was all alone. She went to Delhi,
Yeah.
and that's when she meets the.
No one helps her. Like, none of her friends.
No one was helping her, and
helped
she would ultimately meet what she will become,
Yeah.
where she meets, like, a
Mama-san.
mama-san,
Yeah.
like a prostitution ring or whatever you want to call it, and they promised that she could, finish her studies
Yes. Yeah.
as long as she becomes a prostitute.
So this is the funniest montage though. I gotta say, because like, so she meets like the pimp, and the pimp is like a really short guy with like a very slim ponytail, slick back hair. Like he has like a really bright red like tie and suit, and it's like, you know, number one, like I know pimps stand out, but I never understood why, because I feel like if you're committing crimes, you want to like blend in and not be obvious as a pimp. But then the second thing is, they are like, hey, you know, like, you stay at this hotel, you're gonna go to school, like, you're gonna get good grades, and we're gonna support you, and, like, it sounds like a dope life, and, like, they're showing her getting grades, and, like, the pimp and the mama-san are all congratulating her for the good grades. There's only, like, one sex scene involved with a customer where she's, like, spanking the customer. Like, it's... As far as, like, montages go for, like, getting involved in the sex trade, like, involuntarily almost, it seems really nice.
Yeah.
And the pimp is not mean.
Yeah.
The pimp doesn't hurt her. He, like, really is, like, a very encouraging figure. It seems like she's having a great time.
Yeah.
No, I think that's very interesting because this movie definitely glorifies sex work to some degree. And I think that's interesting in the sense that usually that's frowned upon, especially in India. When you think of that, it's usually portrayed in slums, you know, women who are there by force have no other choice. But this movie really makes an attempt to glorify it.
Would you say it's empowering in a sense? Like, it would empower her sexuality, that sort of thing?
I think it would have been empowering had she not been a minor who had gone through all those things where ultimately she was also left with no choice. This was the only place that took her in, you know, gave her a home, but they just...
No, the pimps make it a point that you are minor, you don't have to do anything.
Right, and he obviously, he says that. He's like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to, and you can wait till, you know, you're an adult. And so, like, she's given a lot of choice, which I don't know how accurate that is of portrayal for sex work in India.
Accuracy is involved with that.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think
sure.
it is empowering in the way for its time, especially because like Gangubai came out a few years ago, and that was a highly sexually empowering movie for sex workers.
Also, I think it's kind of showing a little upscale brothel here, where the girls are not all like, there are a lot of like foreigner girls, like white girls, and she's also like half white. I mean, in the story, she's like mixed race, right? So, and also the decor of the interior and the it kind of looked like it's an upscale brothel. Like, it's not the rundown brothel, like the area where it's
they have like
lot
an
of sex
HR,
racket.
you like clock in and clock out, you can report your
have
problems.
a ring, like it's all a digital payment service.
Yeah, it's like super clean, like she's having a blast, she learns a lot about herself. It's she's having the time of her life, but it's also like white privilege. Like, if she wasn't a white girl, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, the pimp probably saw it as a bit of an investment, right? They like give her some time, few years, but then at some point she's gonna bring in a lot of money because she's in high demand.
So yeah, she's like a high demand prostitute. And that's when we know she changed.
Must be nice.
That's when we know that she changes her name to Chanda.
Yeah.
Which is what's the name? What does the name mean?
Well, it's a flower, but the point is, like, when she takes up the name, she was watching the Devdas film.
That's right.
That's where the Chandramukhi character was dancing on the screen, and that's when she turns back and decides on a name to be her name.
There's a lot of references.
To the actual Devdas
to
film.
the other adaptations.
There are posters of that film in places. Like, at 2 or 3 places that film was being played on the TV.
You see, if you never told me that, I wouldn't have picked up on it.
Yeah, those are like things like, I mean, you can ignore, you cannot, I mean, but like, it's a nice trivia point that they added in the film.
So, Kili, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this really the first Devdas adaptation where they actually showed a backstory to Chanda? You know, because I think in the Shah Rukh Khan adaptation, she was just kind of there. She's already a sex worker. You don't see how she became one.
Yes, you're right. Because also in the actual story, there is no backstory to Chanda. Chanda is just
the first time you see the backstory.
Yeah, Chanda is.
I think that's great. That's a new dimension to the character in a way, right?
Because in the actual story, Chanda is just there to serve Dev. She has literally no other agency in the whole thing. She's just like worshipped Dev because she saw something in him. She just loves him for no reason, even though Dev was like very condescending to her for her being a sex worker and him visiting her, but he belittles her for being a sex worker. So, and she just like, oh, I like this guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
in the novel, is she high class as well?
No, she's just a sex worker. I mean, like some kind of like, I mean, Yeah,
Yeah,
her status in the sex working racket is not ever
Yeah.
mentioned.
So
that
I
much.
think that is good though to show the background because she is like from like a high-so family.
Yeah.
She like has houses in the Swiss Alps and stuff, and so like that's why she's a good match for Dev in the movie at least because like she can speak his language and doesn't have to like look up to him because she knows where he comes from, which is nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's really great that the director made both of the central female characters, Paro and Chanda, in a very faceted dimension, right? Like they both have a lot of sexual agency to them.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
rather progressive.
She's not sad.
Right, not at all.
I mean that's what she says. Like I have processed my grief. Like
Yeah.
because they keeps on. Okay, we'll say that. when
Yeah.
the
So how
story
does she meet
comes, yeah.
Dev?
So yeah, and I think she just suddenly like they just I think the brothel just suddenly brings this that there was this guy that's just super wasted.
Yeah.
And turns out it's just Dev.
Yeah.
Like that's when I start to know, okay, clearly their paths are gonna intertwine and he's
Yeah.
gonna learn something, she's gonna fall in love with him. And she does fall in love with him, right? She just sees something in Dev. She just loves him for who he is. But the problem with Dev is that even though with all this self-destructive tendencies that he's up to, he just would not let Paro go, right? I think
Yeah.
he was so dead set on trying to win Paro
I think
back.
after that scene, the final chapter starts, which is called Dev.D.
Yeah,
where the
so-
Dev's journey after Paro's wedding
Right.
is started.
Yeah, so he gets brought in to Chanda, and that's when we get to the third and most important part of the film, which is like the Dev side of the story. So we get to see this really. So that I think one of the first few things about Dev's segment is that he goes on this drinking binge, smoking up. He's getting high, whatever. But like, there were so many visually striking moments with the cinematography. I think like the way he was going on a bender, right? And I think that's when the director's filmmaking.
Yeah,
that's
the
when it
cinematography,
shines.
the colors
The
are like
cinematography
so
was just
strong and nice.
phenomenal. I
Yeah.
loved it. It was just great. Like,
Yeah, it's very well made.
he was just going on one of his drug binges, and I think he was trying to win Paro back, right? There was like he was trying to win her back. I think there was a plot where he was trying to get. You need to fill me in on this. Like there was a plot where he was trying to set them up to meet or something. With Paro.
So what happens is like Paro is now married. So the guy Paro married to, his sister was the girl with whom Dev was hooking up, right? So Dev knew that, of course. So he comes to New Delhi and then he calls the girl up with whom he hooked up, and then he just stalks from far to that. Like he gets the address.
Oh yeah, he was like stalking them in a
Yeah,
way.
so he gets the address from the girl saying that I will meet you, like give me your address, so that he knows where Paro is, and then he just starts stalking from a under construction building. And
Yeah,
then
he it's like the music video for Google Dolls, like Iris with the guy with all the telescopes, right?
Yeah.
Like looking at the
Yeah.
tower. So he's like has like a shitty telescope and he's looking out at them. Which, as a kid who like was obsessed with telescopes, that
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. I had like all the binoculars and telescopes I could get my hand on because I was obsessed with spy equipment as a kid. And like his old brass telescope. Oh, come on, as a kid, you guys were you guys obsessed with spy equipment?
No.
I'm really glad you didn't grow up in Thailand, or my rooftop shenanigans would not have
Okay,
ended well.
in American commercials, like everything was geared towards spy equipment. Like when you they
Yeah.
were like advertised like VHS things, like you could like spy on your
I had a-
parents or your like
I had a
sister or
roommate
whatever.
who bought a binocular because from the window he could see some women swimming in the pond
Okay,
behind.
and I want to clarify
Yeah.
this. When I say spying, I don't mean being a peeping Tom. I was like,
I know.
I was too young a kid.
I know you are a decent
Like
guy.
I was a very decent, nice boy,
But
and I
these
just
are
wanted to spy
like-
on people because spying was cool. I had sunglasses that had mirrors on the edges, so you could see who was behind you. And I did this one thing where I removed a power socket from my wall and put like an empty space in there so I could hide stuff and stuff in there. Like I was all about like secret compartments and hidden pockets and spy equipment. And my parents were very supportive of this. So I just like would sew secret pockets on everything and just spy on everyone
That's
for fun.
nice.
Adam, what were you hoping to see? Please
No,
enlighten
well,
us.
I mean, so again, I wasn't a
Something
peeping
that
Tom.
other
I
people
wasn't
hiding.
people. You know.
Like,
I still to this day want to be a private investigator.
So do you still
Yeah.
sit out with your telescope on the balcony and spy
Yeah,
on
it
people
doesn't
till
work.
today?
So that's why I can call the scene out.
yeah.
All right. So anyways,
Anyway, so yeah, so there he goes, and then he meets the girl. He meets the girl who he called, and then just treats her as another sex object. He's just like in a bus, and then like with a very disgusted face. And the girl asks like, where are we going? Where are we going? Like where is the date? And he's just to my hotel. I just wanna fuck and the girl gets disgusted and leaves Dave. And Davis goes on a bender after that. Like he's again and again going on bender. That's this thing. And then okay, so when you said like he wants to win over Paro, that's the thing is like he calls Paro's home at middle of the night because she took the phone number from that girl, right? So calls her at the middle of the night. Her husband picks up the phone and he just curses Dave for obvious reasons. And then next day, Paro comes to meet Dev to his shitty motel wherever he was staying, and she cleans up all his apartment, washes his clothes, and does a whole maid service on his apartment, like out of care for Dev. So it shows that Paro is still caring for Dev, and Dev wants to have sex with her. And she just gives into that okay I'll have sex, but when they're about to have sex, Paro just flips.
Yeah,
It's like I don't want.
There was a pivotal point where she was saying something like, "I'm showing you for who you are,"
Yeah,
or something
and
like
because it's a play that Dave told her that right when she came for asking for to marry her, he said out of rage that what's your aukat, like what's your status, man, like. And now Paro sees Dave as a loser boy living his loser life in a shitty motel room.
we start to see his decline.
Right.
Yeah.
when they do try to have sex, she does say, "You do what you want, but I'm not taking my clothes off."
Oh yeah.
Which I'm really curious how that would have played out.
Yeah, I think like she's just saying that I'm just doing a service to you, like
Brutal.
yeah.
Brutal.
I am not into
I love
it.
pity sex. I'll tell you
Yeah.
what.
But I think
Nothing feels better than that.
this is also a big deviation from the original Devdas, right? Because I think in the original film, or the Shah Rukh Khan film, I should say, because that's my only reference point, Paro stays in love with Dev until the very end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And over here, you can kind of tell that she's had so much character growth to the
Yeah,
point
she's
that
just
she
like,
realizes she sees
fuck
him for
off.
what he is, and
She's
she
happy
walks
in her
away.
marriage. She's like, I
Right.
have a good husband, I have kids, like, I'm moved on. You're the one that's stuck. Like, you're the big loser. Like,
Yeah.
I'm, an adult with
Yeah.
a family.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, also like in Dave's defense, for in the original source material, I mean, he's not that big of an asshole there.
Yeah.
So, Paro, of course, like, is not that strongly hateful towards him because he was not that big of an asshole to Paro, but like this Dave is.
Yeah, and during the scene is when Killy was like, "Oh man, the dialogue is so good," because Paro and Dev are having this like back and forth, and I guess in what Killy was watching, it was like a very nice wordplay, and they're attacking each other, and we were just looking at like dog shit subtitles, where like it doesn't really make that much sense, and we're just like keep looking at Killy like, what the fuck are they like? Well, how is this good? And like the subtitles just got a lot of things wrong. Like got like people wrong and pronouns wrong, and like, so I just want to say throughout this film, like, we did have a slightly different movie experience just because the subtitles for us were so different than like, and they would have English words, the characters would speak English words, and then the subtitle would be wrong. So like when they said that like they were like watching porn, the subtitle called it erotic, like Dev calls Chanda like a sex worker, but in the subtitles it's a flesh trader. They're saying the English word. He says sex worker in English, and like the subtitle is wrong. So like I don't know, we might have seen a totally different movie too. So I just want to say that as well. Like if we're referencing stuff, like it might have been different.
I remember one place. It was a huge character growth. Like I mean, it's a dialogue that gives Chandra's character out on like display, right? So she says like say like the first night. Chuni, the pimp, brings Dev
Chuni the pimp.
to there, and when Dev is leaving next morning, she tells Dev that don't bring him here second time. He will fall in love with me, and that's what she says in Hindi. And the subtitle is like, "Don't bring him here second time. I will fall in love with him." Like it's a totally opposite thing that she says, and it totally takes out the meaning of what she wanted to mean. It totally takes out her swagger towards like the whole
And it
phenomenon.
makes it worse because like the guy that made the subtitles keeps advertising his subtitles throughout the movie. So shout out to Porminder Manku, who flashes his phone number, his WhatsApp, and his email constantly throughout the film, even though he's very wrong. And we will have a future episode where we call him and dress him down because he needs to stop advertising because he's bad. And Pormindu, I don't like you.
Basically, we watch an R-rated film with PG-13 rated subtitles.
Yeah. With English words.
How is flesh trader nice? It's disgusting.
Flesh trader is like a Star Wars term for like what you call like a mercenary.
Well, at some other point in the film, they said sex work, and that was subtitled as sex work. So you know that those terms were not even off limits. He just willingly, voluntarily chose to interpret
Porminder,
sex
why
worker
are you
as
choosing
flesh trader. Why flesh trader? Right.
Yeah. Why?
A slut, like Chandu always calls Dev a slut, right?
Slut. We're
But
gonna
it
have to
was
change
like
that to flesh trader when we edit
No,
this.
slut
Strumpet?
is changed by trumpet.
Strumpet.
And they keep calling him
Yes.
strumpet,
Strumpet.
which is like Dickensian word for like that old Victorian
Strumpet.
slut.
So Dev and Chandra, they keep meeting, right? In between, while Dev is going through his binges and trying to win Paro back, they have this back and forth, and you can see that Chandra is starting. I think she does fall in love with him.
Yeah,
She
of
starts
course.
to fall
Like
in love
she
with him.
starts liking him. She starts taking others. He stops taking other clients and just hangs out with Dev the
Dev
whole
just
time.
wants to see
And then
that.
like a couple. They start like a new sweet couple. They start go do like some stuff. But
And the pimp doesn't care.
No,
It is-
pimp cares at the end. Like
He's the nicest pushover
Yeah.
pimp in the world. He's like, well, if you have to fall in love, I guess. He's like, I won't do anything bad to you.
No, he
It's
just
disappointing
says-
for me because my income stream is gone, but I'm not going to touch you, and you're free to do whatever you want.
It's like-
He's the biggest pushover pimp I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know how he's successful at his job.
Chuni,
think
the
it's
pimp
being
with a
there.
heart of gold.
I want to see a movie about him, how he just bleeds money because he just like these girls just like run him, and like he just like can't really do anything.
That's why he lives in such a shitty place. Like
I
he
know.
later showed his
He
place.
spent
right?
all his money on his ties, and then was like, I can't
He
control
lives
these
in like
people.
a small shack. Like
But he notices Dev, and he intentionally picks him out and just gets him
Yeah.
massively drunk
Yeah.
so that he can take him back to Chanda.
But then he's
Yeah.
like, egg on my face, I guess you guys can get married. Goodbye. I'll spend 10 years investing in someone else. All right.
I think what he did all, but at the end, like he tells her that what are you doing, Chanda? Like
My
go back
income's
to work.
drying
Like
out.
why are you like hanging out with
Please,
this guy?
Chanda, please go back to work. Please, these
And
ties don't
he
pay
even
for
calls
themselves.
he even calls Dev that dude, like don't be friends with sex work. Like don't keep girls in Delhi. Like just do them. Like
Yeah.
and get over it.
Do you think any pimp watched this movie and was influenced to be a better person?
I think all of them.
Right?
I think this
Okay.
movie solves sex work, and all the pimps are pretty nice now. Because they
Also
saw the lesson,
trafficking.
which
No-
is
no more
they will
trafficking.
all leave your business if you're nice. So I think they probably did all change.
Yeah, so Paro rebuffs him, right? And that's when Dev decides, oh, maybe I just get with Chanda. Maybe I love Chanda. Chanda just says, like, I think she gives him a reality check. She gives him a reality check that, you should have just apologized to Paro.
Yeah.
But,
That was very-
but then she just wouldn't, because this guy, he's like an arrogant,
Yeah.
self-absorbed jerk. And I don't think he would ever realize that. And I think he has to come to terms that Chanda is also a prostitute, right? Like,
Yeah. So no, I mean he.
Which is sorry, I just want to. I just noticed this too, which is fun. That is growth actually, because he wouldn't get with Paro because she slept with other people, and now he's getting with a prostitute.
Yeah.
That is growth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
He's
that's
getting
okay.
over women's sexual agency. I just realized. That's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
nice.
yeah,
Alright, that's cool.
yeah.
Not quite though, because there is a scene where a customer comes in and that's when he decides
No,
to
because
try to
he
leave.
thought like he wanted to propose her. Yeah. No, but no, I'm talking about women's past, not present.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Oh, you mean like
Fair
he doesn't
argument.
like being cucked?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, no.
How could he not?
The film
Please.
did not explore his cuck fantasies. No, but yeah, he's okay with women's past now.
Yeah. That's the progress.
But sadly for our hero Dev, he's not getting what he wants. He's not getting with Paro. He's not gonna get with Chanda.
Yeah.
He continues to go on this path of like self-destruction.
I think he brings the wedding ring he was supposed to give Paru, and
Yeah.
then he brings it for Chanda, and that time he sees the Chanda got a new customer,
Got a new
and then he just
customer.
throws it to the trash
Throws in
and
the
leaves
trash.
and
Can't
go on
accept.
another bender. And then after that bender, very cool music video during all his bender. That's a must
We
listen.
were
Must.
so absorbed by the cinematography, the music
Yeah.
video, but then it comes to like a screeching halt, where he just suddenly runs over people.
Yeah, 7 or 6 people there.
I forgot about it until again now.
Yeah.
Just runs over people.
That's also based on a true incident where it's a 99 Delhi hit and run case, 6 dead, where there were like 3 police officers as well, like
Oh, was
not officer,
it?
like police as well, and then
He
it
pulls
was
a Kennedy. He runs over people in his BMW car.
yeah,
Does what every rich kid does, which is kill poor people on the street.
Right.
yeah.
But I think we
And
can
then-
find multiple true stories.
Yeah.
And then,
This is not a
then
bomb,
they,
that's
pretty
then
dark.
I think he got kind of away with it for a bit, but the case was reopened, and he got some kind of.
He was sentenced to making momos the rest of his life.
I think he spent 2 years in jail and then
2
he got
years
off
in
on
jail.
community service. Yeah,
Yeah,
but he
yeah.
was acquitted originally.
Yeah,
That's like 2
And they
months
had
for
to
every
reopen the
person you
case.
kill.
6
Yeah.
people, yeah.
7.
6 or 7. I
Well,
think it was
okay,
7
in
people.
the true story it's based off on it's 6
Six
people, but in the
people.
film it's 7 people.
7
yeah.
people, and that's when we start to say things for Dev that his life is just falling apart.
yeah.
Right.
Like there was just no turning back now, and like
At
you
the
said,
same
it's like a
time,
very
his father
Succession
is
moment.
dead,
And his father passes
dies.
away in shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While all that was happening, his father bails him out. I think he bails him out, right?
No, no.
He does not.
So he get the sympathy from the court.
Right.
That-
Oh yes, that's
So
it.
he didn't. I don't think he knew that his father's dead.
I don't
Did he?
remember.
Like
I
when
don't
he went on.
remember.
This
I
is
just
great
don't-
I don't know.
podcast material when we're like, what happened?
Well, I think there's an earlier scene where his dad is sick and he calls Dev to maybe come and meet him, and Dev says no, and
Yeah.
then his mom is telling the father like, why did you buy him a car? And
Yeah.
so you see his father softening up to him after many years of maybe finding him too hot-headed, but he buys him this car because he's
Yeah.
his son after all, right? And then later on, this is the exact car that he has the accident
He still
in.
calls him by his name.
Right, and
Still
throughout this
doesn't call
scene,
him
he's
father.
still
Yeah,
calling him
that's right.
Satu. So
He's still being a dickhead. And I
Yeah.
think this movie shows every Indian kid's biggest fear, which is your actions will literally make your parents kill
Yeah.
themselves. They
Yeah.
both do
Yes,
things that
yes.
make their parents kill themselves, which I think is the greatest fear of all.
But also a big lesson learned from this is boarding school will not fix your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird, we keep trying that one.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think that while that was
The
happening,
court grants him bail on the sympathy ground that his father died. Maybe that's why he was.
I love
killed or
that
something.
shit.
Yeah,
Hey,
whatever.
we're so sorry. You ran over 7 people in your Beamer, but you were on drugs and your father's dead. So
Yeah,
you know,
sad.
no biggie. Just don't do it again. Hey, poor person that stole an apple. We're gonna kill you.
I don't even think that was all the end of it. Like he attended his father's funeral, and then his brother says, he's not gonna get the inheritance money or something.
No,
Like he's getting cut off.
Here is the money for your court
Yeah,
here,
the court-
like the attorney, like
It was like a
lawyer
partial
money,
amount of money.
and then and he asked for like, what about me? And his brother is like, just fuck off, like,
Yeah.
like you are done with this family. He totally cuts him off.
So his
yeah.
life is in shambles. He just uses like whatever little money he has to like travel
Yeah.
around the country.
He makes
No,
momos.
he asked.
mo-
He asked. No, before that, he asked.
The movie's about finding your true calling as a momo cook.
Oh my God.
order momos before the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Momos.
He goes on a trip. He asks the taxi driver, whose name is also the same as his father's name. Like
Oh,
Satendra or
yeah,
something.
that's it. I totally
Satendra, right?
forgot about that.
Okay. Yeah, so also he's
Sorry, we
like...
need to take a break. We need to say a bunch of momos. We're back.
Yeah, I mean, he goes on this with this taxi, like it's a car driver, like goes on a trip where the driver drugs him up and then like throws him in a forest and then takes all his money and runs away. And then now he actually is like has nothing apart from anything. And then I think he hitchhikes with a motorbike rider, like who was traveling in Kashmir maybe, or there's some mountains in near Delhi, and he brings him back to Delhi as well. Like he does a short detour trip over a music video. Yeah, so he comes back and then he's miraculously find the exact car parked by the street, and then he just takes his bag, like a small sachet bag, back. He doesn't even take any money back, like the money that the taxi driver stole from him.
No,
He
I think
doesn't
he gets robbed at some point, right?
Yeah, that's the driver robbed him, like
Right.
drugged him at the dhaba, like at the place where
He
they were
ended up-
drinking, and then throws him in the forest, and then takes all his money because he was having the whole cash for the lawyer, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't take the money back from the taxi anymore. He just takes his bag back and goes to drink again.
Can we just talk about how this guy just ran over 7 people because he did an insane amount of drugs and alcohol, and when he gets 4 days free, he decides to just continue drinking and taking drugs.
Yeah.
He's
Well, that's
should
what
be-
the lenient punishment would do to you.
He should be dead.
Nothing bad will happen.
Yeah.
You can always fall in the safety net of momos.
Momo's the best. Yeah. I want Momo.
So
Alright,
yeah,
so he's making momos because he's like down on his luck.
and then
right?
I think he just
No,
wants.
so he's like
find
so
Chanda
he
again.
goes to drink to a country liquor shop, and then he cannot pay, gets beaten, thrown out, and then next thing is like so there was a scene where he went to go eat momo with Chanda, and then he pays the momo sailor his money, and then when he gives his change back, which was we can see like he paid a lot of money to the momo seller, which was not supposed to be 2 plates, and then whenever he is about to bring the change, he's like, no, keep it. So he gave a huge money to the momo, so he kind of liked the guy. So
Who doesn't like the guy that gives you momo?
no, he kind of liked the guy, as in like the momo seller liked him because he gave a huge tip, like which is not a normal tip to give to a street vendor. So he sees him like lying on the street like a hobo, and then like homeless person, and then he just gives him a job to the
You gave me a lot of money. You must need a job now because you gave me all of your
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, he was just wandering around the country aimlessly, and then he just experiences this car, like a literal car, just drives towards him and crashes into the wall next to us, and we get this really cool slow-mo shot of this car. And it's a very significant scene because I think this is where he starts to realize that, like, oh, he almost died in that moment. And that's when, this is the moment, the character development moment, where he's gonna turn his leaf around. Turn his leaf around.
We all turn our leaves around.
We turn leaves around.
When I graduated high school, I turned my leaves around.
Okay, anyway.
Turn around, new leaf.
Turn around
it's a
and you leave. He turns
Nikki,
around.
turn your leaf around. You're being such a buzzkill.
Okay, turn around and you leave. He turned around and you leave. And then I can't.
Because he was almost he almost died like he killed other people. Like he was almost the poor person that he killed in the car, right? So he finally, for once, experiences, a near-death experience like the one that he caused everyone else, and it probably makes him, be self-reflective and hungry for momos.
yeah, like he realizes what he has been doing to people for.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's kind of a like the emblematic of that thing that that's what I have been like. I have been an asshole. I've killed 7 people.
Right.
Oh my
Apparently, he
God.
didn't process the fact that he killed 7 people until that
he
very
didn't
moment.
process at that
Call that
point, till
narcissistic.
point, because he was supposed to go back to Delhi and report to police station and everything. He didn't do anything. He was just drinking.
And then
So
for some reason Chanda appears. And he finds
No,
Chanda.
I mean, that's what the Momo seller told him, that she
was here.
she comes here. So he couldn't find her in the same brothel. The brothel owner said that she left the brothel after
Yes,
Dev
that's right.
was gone.
He
So
left.
that's how he cannot find Chanda anymore. So the Momo finds him, and Momo seller tells him that Chanda will come here. Like, she comes sometimes here. So, and he gives him a job as well. Oh my God.
Jesus Christ, I'm cutting all of that part. Okay, so whatever. Please go. Please.
Okay.
Chanda shows up.
We're almost at the end, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, Chanda picks him up. She takes Dev to her place and like showers him up, cleans him up.
Yeah.
And that's when Dev says Chandra that, okay, I see now, I never loved Paro. I never even looked at her properly, like who she was. So that's when like Dev realizes he was a narcissistic asshole who only thought about himself. He never even, so all his rage, all his thing, like anger, drinking issue, it's not out of love for Paro, it was his ego being bruised. So that's what the last statement he gives to Chanda. After that, I think he has to go to jail anyway, but I don't know.
Which was pretty sudden, right? Like, I actually thought he was gonna die. Like, I thought it felt like the movie. I've seen a lot of movies where you have this protagonist that he's like an asshole, and we get to expect that this asshole is gonna get what's coming to him.
Yeah.
Like, he does a lot of a lot of his actions have consequences, and it would ultimately lead to his downfall. And from what I was watching, I actually thought he was gonna die, but then Chanda saves him, and I think the movie kind of ends in a very upbeat way, which kind of took me by surprise. Like, he was just like, okay, I'm gonna start my life anew or whatever. Like, with like, I'm a new man now. What do you feel about that? Was that how the original story?
No, that's the thing. In original, Devdas dies.
He does die.
He's supposed to die.
Because he becomes miserable. He never changes. He just drinks, and he just dies at the end. So here, I think the filmmaker took it up to say that, oh no, even someone like Devdas can like try to redeem himself, like after all this crime and everything.
I don't know how you can get back after killing 7 people.
Right.
Well, okay.
I think he has to. I mean,
Who hasn't? Oh, you haven't? Oh, okay. Never mind.
I think he has to go to jail. And that's it. I think. I don't know.
I mean, considering like what.
But in reality, it didn't happen. So, yeah, in reality, the guys got away with it, kinda.
So I think in the original film, A, he doesn't kill anyone. B, he dies from his heavy drinking. So I think it's very interesting that for this film, the director decided to make him so guilty of a crime where he killed 7 people, and then at the same time decided to kind of show this happy ending where he does not die and he still has a second chance.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, sure, it's a gritty retelling, but the thing is, the ending is happier than the original story. If the original story, he's dead, in this version, everyone's happy. Like, honestly, like, Paro, like, has a nice life and a good family. Chanda and Dev, get together and, right away. And, so I do think maybe the original story had some, perhaps, like, again, like, Dickensian British Victorian influence on, like, when you have bad endings, like, it's just really bad. Like, everyone dies or the character kills himself, right? Mm-hmm. So I think as far as this goes, it doesn't have to go to those, like, depths to like, people can change. Hopefully, you find some life after hurting yourself and other people. And I think that's nice. I think it, resonates. I'm not against, like, bad endings or sad endings, but I don't think it was, like, undeserved, and I don't think it was, like, a surprise happy ending. I think it was earned. So, I'm chill with it.
Okay.
I just thought it was abrupt. I literally
Yeah,
came
it was
in
kind of
expect-
abrupt.
expecting he
I
would
mean,
die.
the time the film spent showing his spiraling down, the change was like so sudden. I mean, I can understand it's a near-death experience. When you experience your death, it's like it can be a life-changing moment. Like you were about to die, and then you realize, oh fuck, I would have died. Like but in a cinematic language, it was not emphasized enough.
Right.
in
We
the
only
film.
get that one line where
It's
he
just like,
recognizes that
just
he didn't love
has
Paro.
a monologue in his
Right.
head, like, oh, by they get better, like just get better. Otherwise, you would have been the same. You'd have been just dead like those people that I killed. But yeah. So that kind of takes away a bit of the gravity the film
Yeah.
was carrying all throughout. I mean, that moment, the yeah, exactly, the time it spent on like how serious it took everything. The change at the end was very abrupt. You're right. Yeah, I felt that too. But from the point of view of whether he got what he deserved or not, I'm like, what he deserves is a trial and punishment by law. He's still gonna get, hopefully he's gonna get that. That's outside of the scope of the film. But what he by himself does is like he gets out of that nature. He changes his nature. That's what the redeeming quality in a person.
Yeah, I think like so when he almost dies from the car at the end, I think you could see that as like that's the scene where he dies, and the rest is an alternative path of what happens. If you do try to change, right, and that you should try to do that before you die.
Yeah.
So like if you can successfully work on yourself and improve yourself before you die, that's great because you never know when death's gonna happen, right? So hopefully you're in a state where people do come to your funeral. But at any moment, if you don't do that, and you'll die randomly from a car, no one comes to your funeral, like, that's on you.
I think Dev's a very interesting character because usually when you're watching a film like this, as an audience, you kind of don't sympathize with them, but you still root for them, right? Like everything before him killing 7 people, you're just kind of like still hoping that he finds his way out, he becomes a better person.
Yeah.
But then when he kills 7 people, and then he still has that character development, that self-growth at the end, I almost found it difficult as like an audience to kind of feel good for him. Had that not happened, I would have been like, yeah, good, you go, like you found your way out. But I almost feel like it was not redeeming enough, personally, like to me, for him to just have that realization that he had been narcissistic, he didn't really love Paro. Like, great, good for you, but 7 people are still dead. So I think maybe it was abrupt, like what you said, Nikki, but I think the film didn't navigate that as well as I would have liked it to, for us to kind of get back to feeling like, yes, this is well deserved at the end.
Right.
But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought I feel like he should have died. I think he should have died.
But like, what's your take on like the redeeming quality of a murderer?
I mean, that's a tough question. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if anyone's seen Succession.
how-
it was
what-
very
what-
similar to what happened.
What would a murderer do? Like after he murders and realizes that he committed a crime which he shouldn't have done.
I just saw it more as like a tragic story. Like, you don't get what you want. You deserve to be homeless. You deserve to just
Do you deserve to be homeless, or do you deserve a
like
punishment
just
by
punishment.
the law?
You should be punished for the severity of your actions.
By the law.
But like by the movie, the way it ends, it's just like, it's like. But you have a point, right? He's like,
Yeah.
you can start anew, no matter what happens.
Yeah, if you can
whatever
spend
do.
14 years
I
in
can
jail, but
understand
that's
that.
still a new life
like-
because you came out of your thing. But this director is a very cynical director, and he makes always flashes the bad thing of the world a lot. His focus is always on that. So I think any other filmmaker might have like, even if they want to keep Dev alive, might have like, showed that, oh, the trial happened and he went on jail, and maybe after coming out of jail, like he's had a life with Chanda or something like that. But this director most probably knew that someone as rich as Dev wouldn't go to jail.
Yeah.
Because he's a very cynical director. Most of his film people die, like, and he ends with always like a bad note, like, sad note. I think in that way, like, he ends it in a good ending for Deb, but as a watcher, as a viewer, if you don't empathize with Dev that much, you get angry at the thing that's happening, like what Winnie felt. Most of the film I watched from this guy, I felt angry at the end because people who did the bad things didn't get what they deserve.
Yeah, and I think your definition of class versus caste is really good for this too, even because he's completely broke, but still because of his caste,
Yes.
he gets to basically walk
Yeah.
away.
And those people died.
Yeah.
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 So he really enrages people with his movie too. So I think what Winnie said was like, it's there might have been like, its director wanted you to be angry at the situation, like why the fuck is this stupid asshole, the murderer got away, and he's smiling at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, there you have it. That's
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 very
Dev.D. I don't know how it's like with other adaptations, but Keely, as a person that is very familiar with the story, what do you think overall? Like this adaptation, do you think it stands the test of time? Do you think that this is
I think
the one adaptation that people should watch? Or
Of course, I think if you have read Devdas, you should watch this film. And it doesn't matter if you have watched or not, but this is the best adaptation according to me. But that's according to me.
That's a lot of
That's according to
high
me.
praise.
But Dilip Kumar one's, like the 1950s one, was also very acclaimed film. Shah Rukh Khan's one was, I like it, to be honest. It's very gaudy. That's good because of the filmmaker, but it doesn't go into the characters of the people much. It's more of a dialogue and theatrics of it. It doesn't analyze the character well. It's more of like spectacles of like him breaking glass and like throwing burning stuff because he's angry. And he's like bardast karne ke liye, like who drinks to enjoy. I drink to like just wash away pain. And this is very famous dialogue. That was actually Dilip Kumar, the older film dialogue, and they just did it again with Shah Rukh Khan, and that was very popular. So anyway, like, not going into comparison of each film, but as this film will stand the test of time for sure. I mean, it's been like 15 years. It's a 15-year-old film, right? So even when people watch this nowadays, like, what do you think? Like, does it look like? Could you accept this film that just come out last year?
Yeah, I think it holds up. I think the cinematography is good. The acting is good.
Yeah, right?
I think if you're looking for a good film, it's great. If you're looking for like big musical numbers, no. But as a film, I think it's good. So thanks, Killy, for introducing this to us.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we'll come back to this with another adaptation. But
We'll eventually get to it.
yeah,
We'll all
Yep.
be Devda like historians by the end of this. So I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And also shout out to Abidio's great acting. I think his
Yeah.
acting was brilliant. He really convinced all of us. But also the fact that this movie really focused on character growth, like having the scene where they showed us all how like each character developed and became a person. It created that feelings of empathy and sympathy for each character that I think was missing from a lot of previous adaptations. So it was a very balanced representation. And even the ending, even though I'm not quite for it, I think it's the sign of a good film when it leaves you questioning things, when it stirs up like mixed feelings, you're not really sure how to feel. And I think that's kind of the beauty of this film. It's really raw.
Yeah. You guys want to eat momos and play Tekken now?
Yep. Momos. Momo saves.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Appreciate it. All right.
Yo. Bye-bye.
Keely and me.